Okay, I won't lie, I did actually think about doing this review in a wedding dress. So we move along with Overdue Doctor Who, and we now get to Bridge Series 2 and Series 3, which means special time, which means The Runaway Bride. And this one, I was actually kind of looking forward to. I mean, I've said more than a few times at this point, and in case people didn't know, Donna's my favorite companion. Donna is the best. I love Donna. And this is, of course, her introduction. Now, I haven't rewatched this in a long time, and I remember not really caring for it very much, but I hoped that, you know, doing what I have been doing for most of these reviews and sort of focusing, when watching something that I remember not liking, focusing on trying to find the good in it, and also coupled with the fact that, like, it's Donna, that I thought, you know what? I think this will be kind of an enlightening experience, you know, to watch it and appreciate it in a way I didn't before. That didn't happen. Oh boy. Okay. Where do we start? Okay, how about this? Your standard Doctor Who episode is about 45 minutes. This runs about an hour. I'm pretty sure those entire 15 extra minutes are comprised of characters shouting short sentences at each other. There is a lot of incredibly repetitive shouting in this thing. Like, nothing gets shouted that doesn't get shouted at least 2 more times in the span of the next 5 seconds after it gets shouted the first time. Donna shouts, the Doctor shouts, the Rachnos Empress shouts. Everybody just keeps shouting. And it's so infuriating because the few moments where Donna is allowed to do something other than shout, I see the hints of that character who I adore and love and wish could have been on the show forever. But when she's shouting, it's like the shouting just drowns out her character. She loses all personality. I'm sure they thought that the shouting, like, made her more of a Spitfire. No, it just made her really irritating. And I know that's also, like, part of the thing. She's getting on the Doctor's nerves, and you know, Lance didn't even really like her and all that stuff. But it's the classic thing that I keep pointing out in movie after movie, show after show. When you make a character deliberately irritating to the character that we already like, in this case the Doctor, there's a really good chance that you're also going to make them irritating to the audience as well. And in this one, as much as I love Donna, she's kind of insufferable for most of this. It's her quieter moments that work. So, like, after shouting at the Doctor for her first, 2-3 minutes on screen, she then, you know, runs to the TARDIS door, opens it up, and goes quiet. And the look on her face, and this moment of her saying, you know, this is letting the cold in, or whatever her exact words are, that is characterization. That is Donna. The shouting is just shouting. But unfortunately, there's a lot of shouting. But the shouting is not the only problem with this. This is not a story that needed an hour to be told, which honestly is true of the majority of the holiday specials. Not all of them, but I think a pretty decent chunk. They're telling fairly straightforward stories that do not need the amount of time that they're given. And I think this one, honestly, might be the most egregious example of that, because this is actually a really straightforward story. Bride ends up on the TARDIS. Doctor tries to return her. She's being tracked down. Oh, there's a big monster. Oh, it's dead. This is a pretty basic, few points along the thing process. But like I said, they bulk it out with screaming. So this isn't a story that feels like it demanded extra time in order to be told. And the other thing that is working against this is that this is Doctor Who being deliberately campy. And I do make a distinction between campy and silly. I've done another video, talking about my thoughts on when Doctor Who gets a little bit too silly for its own good. But when it gets to the level of camp, which some of this is, particularly with the Rachnos, and I'll come back to her, I don't like Doctor Who to be campy. And for a couple reasons. I'm not partial to camp at the best of times, and it really doesn't work for me when camp is injected into something that I like, but I like that isn't always campy. And like, Doctor Who can embrace a certain amount of ridiculousness, but seeing this episode, it brings me back to like that very first episode where a plastic bin ate Mickey. It has that vibe to it at times, and I just don't like it. I don't like when Doctor Who gets this spurious, this fluff. Like, I don't need every story to be heavy and dramatic or whatever, but when it's this light, and knows that it's this light, and plays it up like it's a cartoon. Like, I hate the music in this, and actually, honestly, as much as I love Donna, I don't like a lot of the music that's done to underscore her moments, with possibly the exception of Left Turn. Most of the music used to underscore is very cartoonish. It's this bouncy, it feels like something out of a Looney Tunes. I don't like it, and this whole episode has that vibe to it, has that feel to it. Everything is exaggerated, not just for sci-fi or horrific purposes or dramatic purposes. It's exaggerated for comedic purposes. And, it's also not funny. So that doesn't help. I don't know what there is to say about the story, aside from the fact that it's simplistic to the point that it didn't need an hour. Well, I said I'd come back to the Rachnos, so let's talk about that particular brand of pain. So, my memory of her was that the look was really impressive and the performance didn't quite work. And that was a severe understatement. The performance is an absolute mess. First of all, there's the fact that her speech is severely impeded by the stuff that they've got shoved into her mouth. So you look at some vampire-related stuff from like mid-90s and previous to that, and it's fairly common for actors to get a little bit of a odd sound from the extra stuff. She's got that in spades. The bride has arrived. My children. It's really bad, and the performance she delivered, like, I had forgotten that between lines, she, like, laughs, but it's not a laugh. It's like, that reminds me of something out of Red Dwarf, which is, in fact, an outright comedy. Like, that's like Crichton trying to learn how to laugh. What the... God. And I'm surprised it didn't stick in my head as much, considering how much The Wire yelling, "Hungry, feed me," over and over again really irritated the ever-loving heck out of me in Idiot's Lantern, and that really stuck in my head. I'm surprised that it didn't stick in my head how many times she bellows, "My children!" I lost count. Seriously, part of me thought I should back up and be counting how many of these there are, but that was overridden by the part of me that absolutely did not want to hear this character screaming that anymore. It's so bad, and it's this long, drawn-out scene, and it's like they didn't know how to bring emphasis to what was going on other than to have her shout that over and over again at the same volume, no matter what the shot is. It's not like they fade it down so it's more of a background feature. It's at the same volume every time she shouts it. And then the episode has the one part of it that really has much relevance for the Doctor as a character, which is him really enacting potentially, arguably, overly harsh vengeance. You know, it's a debatable whether or not it was necessary, but he seems to be taking a sort of superior satisfaction in what he has decided to do. And his standing there and Donna telling him, Doctor, you can stop now, is actually important. But it's a moment that in this episode itself actually doesn't even work. It works in hindsight retroactively because of Left Turn, but here, in and of itself, it does not work because the episode has not been of a mood or a tone that justifies this sudden shift into him committing genocide and having this really dark moment. It's completely unearned within this story. And it's probably why they had her shouting, "My children!" over and over again to emphasize the fact that he's wiping out newborns, effectively. And Doctor Who can, at its best, juggle contrasting tones. Heck, the previous two-parter did it way better than this because, you know, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday is fun as a two-parter. It's a lot of fun and ridiculous fun. The Cybermen arguing with the Daleks and make you pointing out it's like Stephen Hawking having a fight with a speaking clock. That's silly and fun, but it was able to have that transition into the sadness of the end still work, partially because we understood the threat was real. The threat never felt unthreatening, because I can't think of other word all of a sudden. And so that was part of why that worked. And it also didn't turn on a dime the way that did. There was a build-up to hinting at Rose's fear of not being with the Doctor. And then, then she comes back. And so, it built that fear. It built the, okay, well, here's our solution. Wait, but what if this happens? Wait, Rose, you need to go. No, wait, she came back. No, what's going to happen? Like, it built. It didn't suddenly go, silly, campy, weird spider, funny performance, dark! That doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it didn't work. This, I think the only moments that legitimately work, are the quiet moments between Donna and the Doctor. So, like I said, when Donna first looking out the door of the TARDIS, when they sort of take a minute when they realize after all the shouting, and after they get away from the pilot fish, which, God, why the heck are they back? Oh, so we can put Santas in, and we can have Christmas imagery. Great. It has nothing to do with anything. It was stupid the last time. At least it was semi-justified before. Now it's just dumb. For the sake of dumb. But anyway, after that whole chase happens, she again has a quiet conversation with the Doctor. And that moment I like. The last sort of bit she has with him where he offers her the chance to come on the TARDIS and she says, no, you scare me to death. And the sincerity of her voice when she says that, and her advice to him, say, Doctor, just promise me you won't travel alone because you need someone to stop you. Those moments, those scenes, those quiet moments between the Doctor and Donna are genuinely good. But they're really kind of it. I'm not sure how much I remembered those scenes before going back and revisiting this, but I can tell you that I had forgotten how bad, how painful the vast majority of this thing is. I really, I don't want to watch it again, ever. I remember how the Doctor and Donna met. I will happily just skip to series 4 if I need a Donna fix. Because this, nope. So that's the Runaway Bride. Not exactly what I wanted to kick things off for this sort of next leg of things, but it is what it is. What do you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments, and let's talk about a whole bunch of stuff to do. Buttons, links, subscribe, and things and stuff. And you know what there is to do. Link to the Patreon. Be appreciated. And that will wrap it up for this one, folks. So, check out the stuff down in the description, but you know what? If you don't want to, that's also okay, because at the end of the day, you folks are the council. I'm just running the meetings, and until next time, this council is adjourned.